Good morning and welcome to my kitchen. Now, as you'll see, I've got a little friend here in the kitchen helping me out. Now, I'm sure many of you will be carving these with your kids or grandchildren or whoever little people you might know. So,
big people.
Yeah, there's a big person. She's not that big. Everyone's carving pumpkins, aren't they? And for me, that just opens up an opportunity to cook with the insides. Now, I'm not going to show you how to carve a pumpkin because, let's be honest, I'm not the most creative person in the world for that, but I am quite good at turning it into a good recipe. Now, for me, a risotto is the most comforting, autumnal, warming family dish. It's one big pan, everyone tucks in, it's just delicious. I love a good risotto. So I thought I would share that with you. We're going to use up a chicken carcass to make a fresh stock because we've made a dish using the thigh, the breast and the legs. We've got the carcass left, so let's make a good stock. You know, if you're going to make things at home, make it stretch, make it last. So I've got my chicken in there, all the little trimmings, all ready to go. Now I'm going to put some celery in there, so celery's got a real savoury kind of flavour to it. I've got an onion that I'm just going to chop up into 4, plonk that in, a little bit of salt, not a lot, because you tend to not season stock. You season the dish you're using to make the stock with, okay? So a little bit in there, and then we'll fill it up with water, okay? So I want 2 pints of stock. Okay, I'm going to put this on the pan and I'm going to get it up to the boil. Now, if you've got a slow cooker, you could do it with that if you wanted to. No problem at all. Put it all in a slow cooker, let it cook throughout the course of the day. You'll have the most incredible chicken stock, okay? But I'm going to bring that up to the boil. I'm going to simmer it, get lots of great flavours going in there because that is what will be the backbone for the flavour of my risotto. Okay, so I'm just going to move this over to one side. Now, I know stock isn't something that people make a lot of, so if you have any questions, please post them in the comments below. I can answer them, you know, about beef stock, chicken stock, pork stock, lamb stock, duck, game, vegetable stock, fish stock. I'm the stock guy. I'll help you out, okay?
Can you freeze it once?
Yeah, 100% freeze it. What you want to do is like we're making a fresh stock and we're going to use it today, but if I was utilising this and I wasn't cooking, I'd put it in a slow cooker and I'd let it bubble overnight and then I've got the most incredible stock the next day. I would then put it into containers like this, because these are perfect. Stainless steel masterclass storage containers. They are airtight, freezer safe. You can even put them in the microwave. I mean, you know, who knew? But they are brilliant for that job. So, let's get on to risotto. Now, I'm very lucky. I've even travelled to Milan and I cooked risotto at a big show once. I was, you know, the home of risotto is Milan, okay? And the worst risottos in the world are the ones that you get spooned onto a plate and they hold their shape. They should sink and spread, okay? In this country, we have a habit of making them a little bit too dry and stodgy. They should have a starchy, creamy kind of liquid around that rice and it should just spread. That's the kind of risotto we're going to make today. So let's get the pan on the heat first. Okay, so I've got a white onion, okay? You want the savouriness of a white onion, okay? Normally, you know, in other recipes I've used red onions and things like that. I mean, if that's all you've got, then so be it, but white onions are best for this. They're a bit stronger. So chop your onion nice and fine. We want to get all the flavours going. Okay? Risottos are easy to make, but they're a sort of labour of love. There are no shortcuts, in my opinion, on risotto. Got to make it right.
Yeah.
Okay. You made risotto before?
I've made a couple, yeah, but I've never done one with pumpkin.
Okay.
All homemade stock, don't they? If you didn't have the carcass, could you just use the stock?
Yeah, use a stock cube. Yeah, absolutely. For this recipe, we want about 1 litre, which is nearly 2 pints of stock. So you'd probably want 2 stock cubes if you were going to make it. And, you know, let's be honest, not everyone's going to make their own stock, and that's fine. You know, you can get really good chicken stock out there. So we're going to get some olive oil into the pan, okay? Get that going, and let's get our onions in.
Does the white onion keep the colour? I'm assuming if you use red onions, it would kind of.
Yeah, you'll see the red onions all the way through the risotto. With the white onion, you get more flavour, it's stronger. And obviously, it'll all blend in with the orange of the pumpkin. So, celery, very savoury flavour of celery. I actually made a risotto last night. I did fennel and pesto risotto with roasted walnuts on the top. It was delish. Really good. So, nice thin strips. I'm actually going to put 2 heads of celery in this. 2 sticks of celery. We used to have guinea pigs and they used to get all the celery. We haven't got them anymore. I don't think Pip likes celery. Okay, so we'll cut these into strips as well. Right, can we see this all right?
Yeah.
So we've piled them back up, and then we're just going to roll the knife through the celery, get some nice small pieces, same size as the onion, that we can just cook down until soft. You could also make this dish with vegetable stock as well. If you're vegetarian or you don't want to eat meat that day, absolutely fine, make it with a vegetarian stock. No problem at all. Right. In we go. You could add a bit of carrot in here as well if you've got one floating around the bottom of the fridge and it needs to be used. Get it in there. Right. Season up. Okay. We're seeing the pan all right?
Yep.
Okay. Nice sprinkle of salt and pepper. The salt is going to draw the water out of the celery and the onions and cause it to caramelize, and that's when you get really good flavour, okay? So don't be afraid to season it. What I've also got is I've got my Parmesan cheese here. Now, this is the good bit, this bit is the skin that we don't eat. But, little tip for you, take the skin, whack it in there. Because there's loads of umami and flavour and richness that the heat of the risotto will bring that out. And if you're not making risotto and you have some cheese left with that, cut that skin off and whack it in the freezer for when you are going to make a stew or a risotto, because there is so much depth of flavour in that skin. You do not want to throw it out, okay? So, let's get a spoon. Give that a good stir. Right, so they are cooking away nicely. My stock is boiling. Let's have a look at the innards of our pumpkin, okay? So I've got a few, because we've cut a few different pumpkins up, so I've got 2 different colours here. If you're just doing one, then obviously you will only have one. So, look, there's his smile, all gappy. And then we're just going to take, there's a lot of moisture in a pumpkin, particularly pumpkins that have been grown for lanterns, okay? So, dice it up nice and small, because we want it to sort of cook down. You don't want massive, great big lumps of vegetables in this risotto. You want everything nice and finely chopped.
For different flavour and texture, could you roast your pumpkin in the oven and mix it through your risotto?
You could, you've just got to be very careful because it'll go very soft very quickly.
Right.
Okay, so we're sort of going to do the roasting now and get it in. But like if you didn't want to make a risotto, this would make a fab soup. It would make an amazing curry. Pumpkin curry is really good. Tin of chickpeas. Go to my website and get my Indian spice blend recipe. And just chuck that in with a tin of chickpeas, bag of spinach, tin of tomatoes, vegetable stock, boom. You've got a really beautiful pumpkin curry straight away. Nice bit of yogurt on the top. Be nice, that. But we're Italian today. We're going Italian risotto. I love a risotto.
I like a risotto. I quite like my risotto as vegetarian.
Yeah?
I find it's just nice and light when it's.
It's a good way to have,
vegetables.
you know, it's a good way to skip meat for a meal without missing it, if you know what I mean. What I like to do with a risotto though is I like to crumble something crunchy on the top. So last night we had walnuts that were roasted in the oven and just broken up, and then a drizzle of olive oil. It makes it really nice and silky, but then crunchy.
Yeah.
And it's interesting then, whereas I find with risotto, every bite can be the same.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got some crunchy walnuts in there, it all starts to become a bit different. So let's get these in, and then I'll chop the rest. Right, let's get the rest of this pumpkin in. Okay. There we go, we'll have a little tidy up. Like to tidy as we go. What's your favourite risotto then, Emily? You got a favourite?
I think it's actually one that you've made me before. You did it with the different types of mushrooms.
Oh, I love a mushroom risotto. Okay then, right. Let's throw this out to the audience. Tell me your favourite risotto flavour. I'm reckoning mushroom will probably be up there in the top 3, without a doubt.
But you did do that fennel one that time, didn't you? That was a good one.
Yeah, fennel and tomato risotto is a good combo. So you use fennel bulb instead of onions. And you can use tinned tomatoes into your stock, and you get that lovely richness. I did a pecorino and fennel risotto in Milan, and I crumbled up crispy Parma ham at the end, and I actually pickled some California prunes in red wine vinegar for that kind of tangy sweetness. I'll tell you one thing, the Milanese people thought I was mental, but they loved it. Okay? They loved it. Right, okay, so let's talk rice. Okay, risotto rice, you can also use medium grain rice. It's all about having a really good starch content in the rice so that you get a creamy risotto. You cannot make risotto out of long grain rice, basmati rice, brown rice, wild rice. It's got to be a starchy rice, so risotto rice or medium grain rice, okay? We're going 200 grams. If you're very hungry, you could go 250 grams to feed 4 people. But I bought this packet from Booths and it was 500 grams, so that's 2 full meals worth of rice in our house. Easy. Okay. Let me grab where's my tea towel? Oh, thank you, Carlos. There we go. Keep it real here. Okay, so start to cook your risotto out, the rice out. It's important that you don't introduce any liquid yet, okay? Not until we start to get we need to crack the rice a little. So it takes 2 or 3 minutes of stirring and cooking. And you can see we've got lots of vegetables in there as well, okay? Now the rice is in. Give it a little shake. I feel we need to introduce some garlic in here.
I was just about to say, where's the garlic?
Ward off bad people living next door. No, I'm only kidding. We just like to get as much garlic in our recipes as possible to annoy him. I tell you, I have fed Kerry so many recipes with garlic in and he doesn't know it. Don't tell him. Right. Okay, so 3 bulbs of garlic. Cloves of garlic, sorry. 3
That'd be one
cloves.
very garlic dish, that, Pete. We know we love garlic, but...
No, that is a bit much. 3 cloves of garlic. Nice. Okay, in we go. Right.
Does risotto heat up? Well, sometimes
I
find it goes a bit dry.
You need to hydrate it as well because it does become, the liquid will absorb back into the rice. It's a good question. What I would do is just add 2 or 3 tablespoons of water And then I would whack it in one of these. I do bang on about these, but they are very clever. I would store my leftover risotto in this, and I would microwave it in this because they are microwavable. You can freeze your risotto. You can make arancini with your risotto, which is like leftover risotto into balls, egg flour and breadcrumb. In fact, you don't need to do it into balls. You can egg flour and breadcrumb it and just have lovely little crispy arancini balls. They're amazing. They're so good. Right. Okay, so normally with a risotto you would add some white wine into here, but we're doing a sort of a more budget friendly, everyday. You can add a glass of wine into here if you so choose. Do it, boil it down, and then start adding your stock. So I've got my stock here. Okay, it's hot, so we're going to add a ladle of stock. And then stop. Start to stir your risotto, okay?
Why do you add a ladle at a time?
Because we need to add it to allow the rice to absorb and push out that starch. Otherwise, you're just boiling rice in stock. This is about developing and working the starch out of your rice to create a creamy, indulgent risotto without being indulgent. It's about technique and discipline.
Oh, so would it create a different type of dish if you just added all the stuff?
Well, yeah, it would just be rice.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a risotto. Risottos are creamy, but without adding cream. The worst thing you could ever do is add cream to a risotto. The cream comes from the starch, which you have to work out.
You can't cheat and add cream.
I don't think you can. And this is often why risottos in restaurants are not very good, because it takes 20 minutes for somebody to stand and stir. And that's kind of where restaurants go, oh, we can't do that.
They're pinned down.
They microwave it.
Pinned down to one job.
Yeah, fortunately. Unless you go to a really good restaurant. In which case, when an order comes on for a risotto,
It's made fresh.
that's what they start doing, and they stay there till it's cooked. And if it comes in 10, it's been microwaved.
It's good to know that.
Yeah.
I always think with the risotto that there's never looks enough rice to start with when you pour it in.
No, but there's always enough, isn't there?
I'll add a little bit more, and then you end up like feeding 6,000 people.
That's why arancini in your back pocket is a good alternative, you see, to be able to make your risotto. And always, you know, sometimes it's good thinking, right, well, I'm going to make it because I want leftovers. Okay. Now, please, if you want the recipe for today, scan the QR code along the bottom. It will take you to masterclass.co. All my recipes are on there. You can also download our free app, Peter Sidwell's Kitchen, and my recipes and all the TV programs. All of our episodes are all in our free app. I send out notifications. I have a recipe blog post there, and we have an online shop where you can get equipment or ingredients that I found online that I really love and want to use. I put it in the shop so you guys can get it as well. So download the app, and then you know you've got everything there. But, right, back to our risotto.
It smells good.
Yeah, it looks really good actually, I'm pleased with that. It's looking nice. Right, in with some more stock. And we'll just get that up to boil. Okay, so risotto is nearly done. I'm just going to add a few little flavours to it. Now, sage is a beautiful flavour that works so well with pumpkin, butternut squash, parmesan, garlic, those sort of things. And then I've got a little bit of rosemary, and to be honest, there isn't going to be a lot else growing in the garden at this time of year in the autumn in the UK. Bit of thyme, scraggly old mint if you're lucky, but that's it. So sage is one of those herbs that you have to be careful how much you use, because if you use too much, it gets quite sort of metallic in its flavour. So, and if you're using dried sage, which actually is one of the few sages that works, just stolen Emily's question there, sorry. Just use half the amount that I put in the recipe. But I will write that in for you and say, like 1 tablespoon of fresh, half a tablespoon of dried. Because it's very strong dried sage. But it works so well. So we'll add that in, and then rosemary just gives a real sort of depth of flavour and just sort of plays a part in it all. You could add a bit of chilli in here as well if you fancy it, or a bit of chilli oil at the end would be nice. Okay, Now, almost there. Parmesan cheese. Don't buy the really good stuff for a risotto, okay? It's too expensive a cheese. I mean, you don't use loads of it, but it gives that wonderful sort of richness. And if you've only got a bit of cheddar, it's going to be okay. It's not going to be horrible.
Keep going.
But you do get a nice sort of sharpness with Parmesan or Pecorino or,
It's a good amount of Parmesan cheese, that.
Yeah, but it is feeding full.
Yeah, I'm saying, no, I like it. The more Parmesan cheese, the better.
Yeah, there we go. And then a little bit of butter makes a difference, okay? And at the end, never put it in at the beginning, because what we're doing is just trying to get that richness and that little finish to a risotto that makes it so delicious. And it's about adding the butter in at the end, and you'll just sort of see it melt and glisten. And that's what you want the butter to do. You don't want to lose its characteristics through the cooking process. What you do need to remember to do, which I nearly forgot, is to lift out that skin.
Oh, that was somebody's prize, Pete.
I know, yes. But all that flavour, it's given out its bit of umami, its richness, its deliciousness. It's done its job. Fish it out, otherwise someone's going to think you've put your belt in there or something, a piece of leather. It's not going to be pleasant. Right, so that is our risotto ready. I've got one more thing to add to it. So let me just put that there to rest for a minute. Okay? What we're trying to do is make sure we use every bit of our pumpkin. When we make these pumpkins with kids, and let's be honest, as adults, we enjoy it, we love it. You know, we're making memories with our kids. So sometimes it's more for us than them. Let's get in a little bit of olive oil into our pan. Couple of tablespoons, there we go. My hob is not happy. There we go. Better there, aren't we? There we go. So, we'll get that hot. I kept my seeds. Alright? So, the inside of my pumpkin makes a good snack. They're really, really nice. And earlier we talked about texture of a risotto. And you could add walnuts, cashews, pine nuts, whatever you like. It's absolutely fine. But we've got some freebies in the centre of our pumpkin here, so let's use them. So we'll season them well with salt and with pepper. Okay? And I think what we might do is just get a garlic clove in there and we'll just add some flavour. I would add chilli to this and make it like really nice, and maybe a little bit of cayenne pepper or paprika. And then we'll just slice that garlic. And your risotto will benefit from a little bit of a rest for a couple of minutes before you serve it. It is not going to get cold. It's going to be like an inferno. Risottos are always so hot anyway. So in with our garlic. And then let's just toss these around a little bit. And they'll start to go nice and golden. Add a little bit of butter, just a tiny bit, not a lot. It's not cheap butter anymore, is it? No. It's an expensive product.
$1.99 a bucket is now.
And some. I've seen it more than that. But it's what it is, isn't it? Okay, so let me just grab a plate and I'll show you how a risotto should look, in my opinion. Okay, so let's take our risotto. And pop it there. Okay.
Just to eat relaxing.
And then what you should do is this. Yeah? That's how a risotto should do. It should drop, it should fill its space. Little bit of parmesan at the end.
Question, Pete.
Yeah.
Do you serve, a lot of people serve risotto in a bowl.
Yeah.
What would you on the
Plate.
plate?
Then it's cooler at the edge and I can work my way into the middle. and then olive oil at the end. So you get those little sort of wells of richness and delicious. And then we've got our toasted pumpkin seeds, just to add in there. And there we go. Now you've got your crunch, you've got your smooth flavours. What you have got is the most delicious risotto. Now, if you want the recipe, which I know you will, scan the QR code along the bottom. It'll take you to masterclass.co. They are my partners who I work with. They help me make this show every week. Okay, and you can find loads of information there about the equipment I use in my kitchen, as well as my recipes. But thank you very much for joining me. I'm going to enjoy my risotto.